Chobani is a growth organization. It's focused on doing things better and different. Doesn't mean it's always easy, and it doesn't mean that you get yes for everything that you want to do. There's obviously a lot of uphill battles and convincing and persuasion that you have to do. But as a general stance, the organization has a tolerance for risk. There was a context in which this was possible. There was an open spirit of conversation around it. And there's also the attitude of like, if you have a better idea, bring it forward. And if it's better, it doesn't matter what function you sit in. It doesn't matter how old you are.
When you took over that brand at Chobani, you had quite an interesting approach. Can you talk about how you approached building the brand and what the steps were that you took when you got there?
I was at Chobani for 4.5 years. I've since left, so I'm not there anymore. But when I went there, Chobani was a strong company, but they definitely needed some coherence and clarity and representation of the brand to help them in the next stages of growth. I set out a 4-year agenda where the first year I called Fix the Fundamentals. The second year was Get the Marketing Engine Humming. The third year was Push Innovation outside of Greek yogurt. And then the fourth year was Create Cultural Resonance and Impact. So the first year was really the perspective of how do we fix all the stuff behind the scenes so that we can execute effectively and coherently and with beauty and brilliance over the next 4 years. So that was everything from the brand strategy to product positioning to re-architecting the product portfolio to redesigning the identity and the identity system around it, and getting some kind of core capabilities built in the marketing, design, creative, and media departments within the company. I mean, this was like the unsexy behind the scenes stuff that nobody really saw, except for the brand relaunch. We had a few kind of like KPIs that we kind of tracked ourselves against to make sure we were doing that really well. Then the second year, which is getting the marketing machine humming, that was all about saying, okay, we have the capabilities and the people and frameworks we need to think in one mind and to be able to execute as one mind. Now we need to figure out what is the approach to marketing that is going to drive the growth of the core business. Because I knew if we weren't contributing to the financial success of the company, it didn't matter anything else after that. Like you have to take care of the core of the business before you can start expanding beyond the core. So that's where the marketing and advertising really took the lead in what we were doing. Whereas the first year, it was really like org design and strategy and brand. This time it was more marketing strategy and processes and approach. We took that very seriously. We experimented a lot to figure out what was working for our brand. We kind of redid our ways of working within the organization so that we work with different functions like shopper marketing and sales within the organization better. And again, similarly, we had our own KPIs to let us know if we were doing well on that or not. So we eventually got to a point where we feel we were like doing good enough on that. We continued to push on that and improve on that, but then that's when we started turning our eye towards innovation. And so I started working much more closely with the internal innovation team, worked on building out a innovation pipeline and strategy and roadmap for the different types of products that we were going to get into. I founded the new ventures arm of Chobani, where what we would do is we would look at opportunities in the marketplace. We would make decisions as to whether or not that was something we wanted to do internally, buy a company, or essentially outsource, meaning in food language, it would be co-packing. You would essentially hire a factory rather than do it in-house. You'd hire a factory to kind of make the food for you for a certain amount of time. And there's benefits and drawbacks to all three of those things. So it really depended on like what the category was that we saw the opportunity in. We took the traditional private equity mergers and acquisitions model, and we literally flipped it on its head. So rather than calling it M&A, we called it A&M, acquire and mentor, because the big flaw that we saw in the industry was that a lot of these companies were being bought and then just gutted. The people were being kicked out, the business models were being changed. The only thing that didn't change was the brand. But everything else below the brand, people, processes, and finance would get changed and gutted. And then the company is like a shell of itself. And so the whole acquire and mentor thing was about saying, like, how do we really bring people in and respect them as new partners in this process, and really protect the integrity of the company and stuff. Just pushing into new categories, not just beyond yogurt, but even beyond dairy. And so when that stuff was in the pipeline, we started turning our attention to cultural impact as the fourth pillar. And so we started doing things that were more around how do we build the brand through playing a role in culture and somehow having cultural commentary. And so there were various different ways that we experimented and tried to figure that out. And we were actually just starting to ramp up some more significant work. And then COVID hit, and then the multiple global crises hit. So it kind of poured water on the fire that we had been building.
You sort of stepped into many different places that someone with kind of like, a brand title might not kind of traditionally go. Like, how did, was this did you drive this? Was this something that you saw was kind of critical? How did you design this position for yourself? And I think there's probably a huge amount of convincing other people inside the organization to also, include you and let you do the work with them, because this isn't just one man running around a business sort of making waves. There's probably many people, in different departments that are involved. How did that all come about?
Well, luckily, I recruited a number of people on my team who are excellent at things that I'm terrible at. So a lot of the success is due to them. And also, within the culture of Chobani is a growth organization. It's focused on doing things better and different. Doesn't mean it's always easy, and it doesn't mean that you get yes for everything that you want to do. There's obviously a lot of uphill battles and convincing and persuasion that you have to do. But as a general stance, the organization has a tolerance for risk. There was a context in which this was possible. There was an open spirit of conversation around it. And there's also the attitude of like, if you have a better idea, bring it forward. And if it's better, it doesn't matter what function you sit in. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, you'll get a fair listen to your idea. And if it's great, we'll do it. One of the things that I charged my team with very early on was saying, genius steals opportunities. There's no one who's going to bring you a great brief. There's no one who's going to present you, because I hired a lot of people who were from agency side. No one's going to put a great opportunity on a silver platter for you. You have to go and make that stuff happen. Now, whether that's you invent your own brief because you have an opportunity that you see, or you see something done within the organization that isn't being executed with excellence and you believe that you can do better, go do it better. Put an idea on the table. Challenge other people in other functions to level up their game by bringing ideas that beat their ideas. It's not to say that it's about competition, but it's about encouraging a culture of not just being on repetition, but a culture that is about making things better and making things happen. And so sometimes you have to put pressure on people and create a sense of competition for people to kind of wake up and be like, oh, I got to do more than just what I did yesterday. There's the old saying that if you're still doing what you did 5 years ago, please stop. You're destroying the company. We all have to advance and evolve and do things differently.
Hello YouTube, I'm Ross Drakes. I'm the founder of Nicework, and thank you so much for your time at watching this video. If you're seeing me, it means you made it all the way to the end, so we've at least done something right. If you enjoyed this, we'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And I think more important than that is if you know someone who might need to hear this, if you think someone out there who needs this message in their life, please spread the link, because it makes a huge difference to the world, and it allows us to fulfill our message of making sure that there are no more bad brands in the world. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you in the next video.